Victory over science over ignorance. In the St. Louis crypts was once several craven heads, 8 in fact. They had an operation with the elites in the underground tunnels to their mansions and slave trade. They combined their powers and grew so big that even the wolves wanted a piece of this territory. Blood sport, and they could smell it a mile away. Much like the days of Wine and Glory in Herman, where a wolf was karate kicked off a party porch and went rolling down the farm hills, and other ridiculous nightscapes by lantern. So these Claven members had hung people up on ropes and torture devices in their cellar systems, and it connected to an underground waterway system that interdimensionally was supposed to be a gate to the river Styx in Hades. And as a result of this partnership with death, a lot of things occurred down there. These males were doing scientific research and experiments as well. They considered anything besides them part of the vegetable kingdom, and below them, beneath them, and they resisted this merger of powers that was in the area. So they thought that they were a superior race, even to humans, because they're vampiric, and they started trying to splice their genome into a baser substance and hang the humans up to dry like a seasoned vegetable. So these feats ended up backfiring on them and became the hangman's noose, because that disrupts the divine order in nature, with humans being the steward and having stewardship over all the kingdoms on earth and being the ambassadors for earth itself and not creatures, trying to invert that and take over that chain of authority and command. So these Claven members, they slipped up, they got hung up instead in the end. Excuse me. And in a situation like this, the only sealing protection is the substance of Jesus Christ and the angels. And that's what sealed the area. This is where the victory over science comes in, and their ignorance came in, as their delusions of grandiose endeavors, trying to make themselves superior and having a slave race always. They sought to alter the human genome to ensure that they would become a slave-feeding race. So divine intervention had to step in and correct that divine right order. Their louche pools were growing too big. Their egos were fighting with each other and amongst themselves, and working with other creatures that had never before been witnessed working with each other. And so many things that went on with this and their archive and archaic system that they had going. The portal openings became too big, too wide. It also set off alarms as a hell breach, and this was similar to the Mud People Veil Wall hell breach that happened in the catacombs of Eureka Springs. But the organization of these creatures and their blending with human society also had to be halted, because they were growing too large a number, and there's too many disappearances. Their stone buildings were houses of records, halls, horrors, and a foreshadowing of their own crypts in the end, in which they'd find eternal rest. They grew power hungry, destroyed a lot of the research in the end and work, and what was left was like a morgue-like museum with echoes of a bold and brazen vampiric past. They had Egyptian Book of the Dead imagery in the plant lab area, and boats that went floating down to open up the river Styx, and many rituals were done in the thickets there, which are now hedge mazes of a twisted past, and a reminder of that, but also where new life has also sprung up. The river Styx was shut up and cast out, and angelic warfare cut through the evil hedges. The 8 heads swallowed their own demise, and effigies of a haunting and vague other old world merged with modern architecture remains. Another X-file is Golden Screaming Eagles City, which was an invocation rite. The only Golden City master, Cooky, Cutter, Golden Eyes, handicapped, lift, golden tassels, Boba Fett Cooky, went to the top of the Oddfellows building for a golden rite. The Golden Rite Town Blowout, which created a black cloud in the city and made people freeze. Reminders of it set people into a weird mental lockdown state. Transporting authorities trips, growler men, drugged pie and ice cream, chemical mud in the eye, the only yellow fresh taxi to nowhere, grain cotton traders of the past, essence, wares and measurers, weights and measures, presidential poker, high pine, golden church, madness on Main, winner gets a golden ice cream scooper and resigns into the twilight zone. Trigger words and phrases.